Lehre eines jeden und das Leben aller Menschen. O Meister, bitte sei mir barmherzig und gib mir den Schatten deiner Gottesfüße. Möge deine Herrlichkeit in allen drei Welten verkündet werden.
Diese Zuflucht bereiten und diese zwischen Schüler, Praktik,
So, klasse. Vier, 28, na warte mal. So. Vier, 24, 42.
42.
Ja, 24, 42.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Baya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Ganangzana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. We are reading in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Text 42. Namasta Ashisham Isha. Namasta Ashisham Isha. Manave Karanatmane. Manave Karanatmane. Namo Dharmaya Brihate. Namo Dharmaya Brihate. Krishnaya Kuntamethase. Krishnaya Kuntamethase. Purushaya Puranaya. Purushaya Puranaya. Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Namasta Ashishamisha. Manave Karanatmane. Namo Dharmaya Brihate. Krishnaya Kuntamedase. Purushaya Puranaya. Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Krishnaya Kuntamethase. Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Namasta Ashishamisha. Puranaya. Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Namasta Ashishamisha.
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Pujaya Puranaya,
Krishnaya Puranaya,
Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha,
Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha.
Namasta Ashisham Isha,
Namasta Shisham Isha,
Marave Karanatmane,
Manave Karanatmane,
Namo Dharmaya Vrihate,
Namo Dharmaya Vrihate,
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Purushaya Puranaya,
Purushaya
Puranaya
Ya Yogeshwaraya Cha,
Sankhya Yogeshwaraya.
Raya Cha. Ja, Maharaji.
Namasta Ashisham Isha,
Namasta Ashisham Isha,
Manave Karanatmane,
Manave Karanatmane,
Namo Dharmaya Vrihate,
Namo Dharmaya Priyate,
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Krishnaya Kuntamedase,
Purushaya Puranaya,
Purushaya Puranaya,
Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha,
Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. Nama, offering obeisances te unto you, Ashisham Isha, O topmost of all bestowers of benediction,
O topmost of all bestowers of benediction,
Manave, unto the Supreme Mind or Supreme Manu,
Supreme Mind or Supreme Mind,
Karana Atmane, the Supreme Cause of all causes,
the Supreme Cause of all causes,
Nama, offering obeisances,
offering obeisances,
Dharmaya, unto one who knows the best of all religion, Priyate, the greatest, Krishnaya, unto Krishna, Akunta Medase, unto one whose brain activity is never checked, whose brain activity is never checked, Purushaya, the Supreme Person, Puranaya, the oldest of the old, Sankhya Yoga Ishvaraya, the master of the principles of Sankhya Yoga. Cha, end. My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of all benediction, the oldest and supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy, for you are the supreme cause of all causes, Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all religious principles, the supreme mind, and you have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you. Purport. The words Krishnaya Akunta Medase are significant in this verse. Modern scientists have stopped their brain work by discovering the theory of uncertainty. But factually, for a living being, there cannot be any brain activity which is not checked by time and space limitations. A living entity is called Anu, an atomic particle of the Supreme Soul, and therefore his brain is also atomic. It cannot accommodate unlimited knowledge. This does not mean, however, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has a limited brain. What Krishna says and does is not limited by time and space. In Bhagavad Gita 7.26, the Lord says, Vedahang samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani chabhutani mang tu vedana kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Krishna knows everything, but one cannot know Krishna without being favored by him. Thus, for Krishna and his representative, there is no question of a theory of uncertainty. What Krishna says is all perfect and certain, and is applicable to the past, present, and future. Nor is there any uncertainty for one who knows exactly what Krishna says. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on Bhagavad Gita as it is, as spoken by Lord Krishna. And for those who are engaged in this movement, there is no question of uncertainty. Lord Krishna is also addressed herein as Ashisham Isha. The great saintly personalities, sages and demigods are able to offer benedictions to ordinary living entities, but they in turn are benedicted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without being benedicted by Krishna, one cannot offer benediction to anyone else. The word Manave, meaning unto the Supreme Manu, is also significant. The Supreme Manu in Vedic literature is Swayambhuva Manu, who is an incarnation of Krishna. All the Manus are empowered incarnations of Krishna, Manvantar Avatar. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, 420 in 1 month, 5,040 in 1 year, and 504,000 Manus in the lifetime of Brahma. Since all the Manus are directors of human society, ultimately Krishna is the supreme director of human society. In another sense, the word Manave indicates the perfection of all kinds of In another sense, the word Manave indicates the perfection of all kinds of mantras. The mantra delivers the conditioned soul from his bondage. So simply by chanting the mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, one can gain deliverance from any condition. Karanatmane, everything has a cause. The theory of chance is repudiated in this verse. Because everything has its cause, there is no question of chance. Because so-called philosophers and scientists are unable to find the real cause, they foolishly say that everything happens by chance. In Brahma Samhita, Krishna is described as the cause of all causes. Therefore he is addressed herein as Karanatmane. His very personality is the original cause of everything, the root of everything, and the seed of everything. As described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya, the absolute truth is the supreme cause of all emanations. The word Sankhya Yogeshwaraya is also significant herein. For Krishna is described in Bhagavad Gita as Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic powers. Without possessing inconceivable mystic powers, one cannot be accepted as God. In this age of Kali, those who have a little fragmental portion of mystic power claim to be God. But such pseudo-gods can only be accepted as fools. For only Krishna is the Supreme Person who possesses all mystic and yogic perfections. The Sankhya Yoga system, popular at the present moment, was propounded by the atheist Kapila. But the original Sankhya Yoga system was propounded by an incarnation of Krishna also, named Kapila, the son of Devahuti. Similarly, Dattatreya, another incarnation of Krishna, also explained the Sankhya Yoga system. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all Sankhya Yoga systems and mystic yoga's powers. The words Purushaya Puranaya are also worthy of special attention. In Brahma Samhita, Krishna is accepted as the Adi Purusha, the original person or the original enjoyer. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is also accepted as Purana Purusha, the oldest person. Although he is the oldest of all personalities, he is also the youngest of all, or Navayovana. Another significant word is Dharmaya. Since Krishna is the original propounder of all kinds of religious principles, it is said, Dharmang tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, Bhagavatam 6:3-19. No one can introduce a new type of religion, for religion is already there, having been established by Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna informs us of the original Dharma and asks us to give up all kinds of religious principles. The real Dharma is surrender unto him. In the Mahabharata it is also said, Ye chaveda vidopi pro ye chatyatma vido janam tivaranti mahatmanam krishnang dharmang sanatanam. The purport is that one who has studied the Vedas perfectly, or who is a perfect Vipra or knower of the Vedas, who knows what spiritual life actually is, speaks about Krishna, the Supreme Person, as one's Sanatana Dharma. Lord Shiva therefore teaches us the principles of Sanatana Dharma. The verse again. Namaste Ashishami Shamanavi Karanatmani Namo Dharmaya Brihati Krishnaya Kuntamedasi Purushaya Puranaya Sankhya Yogeshwaraya Cha. My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of all benediction, the oldest and supreme enjoyer amongst all enjoyers. You are the master of all the world's metaphysical philosophy, for you are the supreme cause of all causes, Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all religious principles, the supreme mind, and you have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you. Chanting the songs sung by Lord Shiva is such a melodious title of this chapter. Chanting the songs sung by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is, the Prachetas were the sons of King Prachinabarishat, a great devotee. His sons were similarly great devotees, and they went wanted to perform meditation and a renunciation to attain spiritual perfection. And they went to a wonderful, beautiful lake in which they wanted to settle down in the water of this lake so as not to be disturbed by anything. And when they were standing at the shore of this lake, they heard some beautiful music, and suddenly out of the lake arose Lord Shiva. It is described he was his body was shining like molten gold, and he had a blue throat, Nilakanta, a blue throat, and he was accompanied by many musicians who eulogized, who were singing his glories. And the Prachetas offered their obeisances unto Lord Shiva, whom they knew to be the greatest of all devotees. Lord Shiva blessed them and said that he was very much pleased by them because they were so much fond of each other, and because they were such wonderful devotees. And Lord Shiva told them that he would give them a special prayer which they could chant underneath the water. And it's a very long, not just long, but very beautiful prayer. In former times, the living entities, they were able to remember any instruction just by hearing it once. So the Prachetas, they could remember this prayer, this song sung by Lord Shiva. It is so detailed, so packed, so filled with importance, every word. Srila Prabhupada explains every word of this verse. Every word is full of meaning. Akunta medhasi. I look up, that's the first word Srila Prabhupada mentions. Yeah. Krishnaya kunta medasi. Sorry. Akunta medasi. Unto one whose brain activity is never checked. Lord Shiva asked the Prachetas to meditate on Krishna as one whose brain activity is never checked. It is said there is no difference between any organ of Krishna and the others. So Krishna's brain is just as perfect as the whole body as the whole personality of Krishna is perfect. His brain is not checked like ours, is not conditioned like ours. Prabhupada mentioned in this verse that the living entities are called Anu, which means an atomic particle of the Supreme Soul, and therefore the brain is also atomic. Atomic brain. We are atomic brains. Compared to Krishna, our brain is very, very small. Compared to the demigods, we are like ants. Or like microbes. Tiny, tiny. We are so much conditioned. Shri Shri Jagannath Subaladev Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gondatai Ki Jai. Still, we are sitting here, and by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are able to worship Krishna in his beautiful form as being in ecstasy after hearing the talks of the queens, of his queens and Dwaraka. First, Subhadra, she fell into ecstasy. The queens told her, "We want to talk about Krishna's activities." But when he hears this, he will just stay at the door and watch. If he comes, tell us. And Krishna and Subhadra were standing there at the door watching as the door guard. And when she heard how the queens talked about the pastimes of Krishna, she herself became stunned. She fell in ecstasy, and her eyes widened, became big, and her mouth turned into a big smile, and the limbs of her body shrunk into her body. She was standing there. When Balaram passed by, he saw her. "Hey, what is Subhadra? How come she is so much in ecstasy?" And I have to find out. And Balaram came and he listened. Oh, the queens are talking about our pastimes in Vrindavan. And Balaram listened. And he also became so ecstatic that the limbs of his body shrunk into his body, and his eyes became big, and his smile became broad, and he was standing there just as Subhadra. And then Krishna came. Both of them were stunned in ecstasy. Then Krishna, "Oh, what is going on? I must find out." And Krishna also listened to the queens talking about the pastimes, about the Vrindavan pastimes. And Krishna, he also became the same way. The limbs of his body shrunk, and his face, his eyes became big, and his smile became big. So they were standing there listening to the queens, to the Krishna Katha of the queens. In this beautiful moment, that is the deities, Jagannath, Subala, Baladev, they are depicted, they are made to in the way that they were present in Dwaraka at the doors of the assembly room, kind of the queens, as they were standing there. Shortly ago, I read how Jagannath came into ISKCON. There was Maraji, and who is also very prominent in ISKCON, very important personality. She went into one shop and she saw there the huge container of small figures looking exotic. She didn't know what they were, different ones. She took one and she brought it to Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada, she put this figure there on the table, and Prabhupada, what is this? Prabhupada, he immediately offered his obeisances to her astonishment, and I said, oh, this is Lord Jagannath, the form of Krishna. Are there other forms also? Yes. Oh, please bring them. She brought them, and then Prabhupada asked her husband, Shyamasundar, to make big deities after the forms of these small deities. So the devotees could worship Jagannath, Subhadra, Baladev. Srila Prabhupada told them the story, and the devotees were in ecstasy. So although we are so conditioned, we are allowed to worship Krishna in this beautiful way, in this wonderful way, as it is done here. Krishna in his most ecstatic form. Also Gaunitai. I heard once the devotees had an exhibition, photo exhibition in Mayapur. And there were also photos of these Gaunitais. And Srila Prabhupada, he walked through this exhibition and he stopped in front of the photo of Gaunitai and he said, these Gaunitai are very special. Confirmed. This is the first Murti of Srila Prabhupada here in Switzerland.
I'm not sure. There's the one in Langenthal, who came from Ticino. The one, the Murti in Langenthal now.
Yeah.
Was originally from Ticino. I don't know which one of the two was first.
Those in Zurich are first. Langenthal we broke them a few years ago.
Oh yes.
It came from Ticino. It's much
No,
older.
from Ticino came the Srila Prabhupada did not come.
Ticino, yeah, Prabhupada, I mean the Murti of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Murti, yes. Yeah.
Most probably Srila Prabhupada in Zurich is longer established.
Yeah. It was in 1978 or 79. After there, at that time, there was the first Ratha Yatra here in Switzerland, here in Zurich. Yes. No, or it was in Langenthal. I'm not completely sure.
I think 78 was the first Rath Yatra in Zurich.
In Zurich, yes.
To have Rath Yatra on the farm. They had somewhere a farm. I forgot the place in the French-speaking part of Switzerland.
Oh yeah.
And there they would usually perform Rath Yatra, and also in Geneva, I think.
Oh yeah. Yes. I don't get it together. But we were on Sankirtan, visited the Rath Yatra here in Zurich. It was near a shore of a lake, therefore I also thought it was here in Zurich. And after the Rath Yatra, the first Murti of Srila Prabhupada was installed, the first Murti of Prabhupada that I saw. And it was, Srila Prabhupada was sitting on his Vyasasana, on the stage, sannyasi was giving a class, and Prabhupada was sitting there, and I didn't. So nobody is fanning Prabhupada, and I had been criticized for, or looked at angry because I fanned in the temple in Singhachalam. I fanned Srila Prabhupada in a very simple way, and then I had learned how to serve the chamara, how to fan in a proper way, and so proudly I went onto the stage and started fanning Srila Prabhupada with the chamara for some time. Then another devotee came, I went down, and at night we lay down to rest in the Sankirtan. We just left and slept in the van. This was 78. We had been in 77. We had been praying to Krishna. Oh Krishna, if you so desire, please make Srila Prabhupada healthy again, so that he can finish his mission. And we had been praying to Krishna. When I was lying in the Sankirtan van, in a dream I saw a bed, like kind of a hospital bed, somebody lying in this bed, and then Srila Prabhupada, he came up, he was sitting in this bed, looking very nice, like on the photo that I was chanting before in the morning. Put the photo on the windshield of the van and chanted there. And Srila Prabhupada was sitting in the bed, like on this photo, and smiling very beautifully, and showing that he was still present. He had not left. Srila Prabhupada said, by my books, I will be present forever. And by my instructions, I will be forever present. Also, in the deity form, Srila Prabhupada is forever present. In another dream, I saw the murti of Srila Prabhupada on the farm, and I wanted to put a garland on him. And in a dream, and then this murti, he was Srila Prabhupada himself. Srila Prabhupada is present in his form, in his instructions, in his books. Actually, Prabhupada said, ISKCON is non-different from my body. The whole of ISKCON is non-different from Srila Prabhupada's body. So if we have respect for Srila Prabhupada, we also should have respect for ISKCON. Once Prabhupada said, ISKCON with all your faults, I love you. That's an English saying. The Britishers, England with all your faults, I love you. Prabhupada said, ISKCON with all your faults, I love you. We are also, the devotees, they were so young, so new, and so there were some lacks, some imperfections, but still Srila Prabhupada very much appreciated the endeavors of his disciples. And one servant of Prabhupada, sorry, old age, I forgot. He wrote this book, What's the Difficulty? Shruta Kirti Prabhu. Also, the title of this book is funny. Once Srila Prabhupada chanted the Pranam prayers and everybody bowed down. And Shruta Kirti also, he was sitting in front of Prabhupada, he was the servant, so Prabhupada, he was sitting. When he came up, another devotee behind him, he had also offered his obeisance. He came up and Shruta Kirti went, and Shruta Kirti, he was pushed forward and he fell over on Srila Prabhupada's lap, and he was lying there. And Prabhupada said, what's the difficulty? So cool. What's the difficulty? So Shruta Kirti Prabhu, he said he had the realization that not only just those who were around Srila Prabhupada, writing his mail, giving massage and things, cooking, that they were Srila Prabhupada's only personal servants. He said he had the realization, he understood that all of the devotees are Srila Prabhupada's personal servants. We are all Srila Prabhupada's personal servants. Everything we do, our whole existence is dedicated to serving Srila Prabhupada. We are all Prabhupada's personal servants. That's what we are meant for. By serving Srila Prabhupada, we are serving Krishna. Once Prabhupada said, I don't know Krishna, but I know my spiritual master. So we are so conditioned, we don't know much, but we are trying our best, we are endeavoring to please Krishna, to please Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters. Yeah. Although we are so conditioned as described in this verse. Oh yeah, there's a small thing, some nectar I'd like to quote about being conditioned. Srila Prabhupada was giving a talk in which he said that in order to go back home, back to Godhead, one must be 100% pure, 100% free of material desires and attachments. When Prabhupada saw that the devotees were discouraged, he said, all right, 90%. Still they were dejected. Then he said, all right, 80%. Still they were crestfallen. Then he said, all right, 75%, but not less. After the talk, Srila Prabhupada commented, if you just hold on to my lotus feet, I will take you back to Godhead. I have the key to the back door. So, even if we are not qualified to enter through the gates to Vaikuntha by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he will lead us in to Krishna Loka through the back door. By his mercy, we will be able to go back to Godhead. We are not able to remember these beautiful prayers of Lord Shiva. Praying them, chanting these prayers underneath the water, sitting there for thousands of years, no way. But we can endeavor in our own little way, although we are so much conditioned. This verse, as I said, it's so much filled with so many important names of Krishna. Ashisham Isha. The demigods are offering benedictions, but they get their benediction from Krishna. The word Sankhya Yogeshwaraya. Krishna is Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic powers. Without possessing inconceivable